Hello? Oh, okay, we're gonna start over. I'm gonna talk about why. You hear that? The day has come. I'm gonna talk about why I changed my name and the story of Last Ditch Effort. And those two things are very connected. So without further ado, here's the scoop, right? I told myself that if my poll on Instagram got over 100 votes, I would do this, and it did. So like at the final hour, so I was like, okay, because I was starting to get a little lazy, but that's okay. At least we're being honest. I thought it would be good to talk about this now because I am going to start releasing more music very soon. And why? I just had an album come out a month ago. What do you mean? Well, I'm very impatient, and now that I'm independent, I can do whatever I want. So it's ready. It's ready. The music is ready, and I think that's the awesome thing about my situation right now is I can just press the button. We're good to go. So I never felt fully there when it came to the Jackie Hayes stuff. And for a while I doubted my reasoning behind it, right? Because I'm like, well, what if it's imposter syndrome? I think that's something that a lot of artists go through, especially when you're younger. But something never really felt right. And I think I can't really boil it down to one reason. And most things in life, there's not just one reason behind why you don't feel whatever about what it is that you're doing. There's many little reasons that I'm going to try my best to go through all of them, and hopefully this video is not over an hour long because I don't know, but what are you gonna do? Sometimes that's life. You can't always package things up into a little bow when you're explaining this whole back story situation. I saw a quote from this guy. I don't remember who the guy is. I'm sorry, guy. But how oftentimes it takes years to bridge that gap between your taste and your skill. So like you have something in your brain that you really want to make, but you don't know how to make it yet. And there's a lot of frustration that can come with that. But obviously being able to push through and get to that other side is how everybody makes things that they like, right? And it's essential and it's really important to not get impatient. But obviously it can take years, and for some people it can take even longer. Some things just take longer for others, and it might not even be about the skill. It might be about lack of resources, lack of time. So many other outside factors can contribute to that, and I think it's really important for anyone listening who might be feeling like they're still in that gap, right? They're still bridging that gap, to know that you cannot be hard on yourself and you cannot compare yourself to others, because we don't know what anyone else is going through, and it's always better late than never when it comes to making things that you are proud of. And I am a big supporter of that. I think I wasn't able to work on my craft as much as I wanted to when I was doing Jackie Hayes because I didn't have as much free time. I was working a job that didn't pay as well as my current one. My current job starts at like 7, so I have the whole day to, mess around and do whatever. And that, I think that's true for a lot of people who are working class. Is like it is very difficult to come home after a long day of work and have the energy to make something, especially if your job is physically demanding, which for a lot of people in food service, it is physically demanding. Right before I moved here, because right now I work a job that pays me like $23 an hour before tax, which again, that's pretty good. I mean, I know California is an expensive place, but I think before I moved here in Chicago, the last job that I was working was paying me like 19 before tax. And so that can be a pretty big jump for people. Also, I work more because I don't tour right now, and we're gonna get into that. That's gonna be a completely different rabbit hole, one that will be discussed in this video. But yes, long story short, I found a better job that gave me more free time, and I got better at saving my money. And again, I am able to work more consistently, I guess if that's how you would say it, like over a period of time. And I've been able to keep a job too, which again is going to tie into more things that I'm going to talk about later. I've been able to keep a job for over 2 years, which this is the longest that I've ever kept a job in my adult life, because they are very, very flexible with the schedule, which I'm super thankful, because I probably would have had 10 jobs in between now and then. And you know how bad this economy is right now with the job market. Like, we don't want to job hop if we don't have to. I like to distract myself a lot. I was running from a lot. I was running from my feelings. I was running from my anxiety, my OCD. Happy OCD Awareness Month, everyone. Is it ever happy? I don't know, but we're gonna celebrate anyways because they gave us an excuse to. I'm talking a lot. It's been a while since I've sat down and recorded like a video, you know, and I just have this thing. It's just gonna keep running until I get everything out. It could take all day. We're gonna be here when the sun goes down, okay? When I lived in Chicago, it was really easy for me to go out and do stuff because it is such a convenient and walkable city. And where I live right now is still pretty walkable, but it's not as walkable as where I previously lived, and I don't have a car. So I think it was really easy for me to distract myself when I wasn't at work. And I think that there's this push and pull that comes with, if you are, which at the time before I moved here, I was going on and off at this restaurant job. That restaurant is actually closed down now. That doesn't really apply to any of this, but I was working from like 12 to 10, so like 10-hour shifts. I was so exhausted, but when I wasn't working, I was on tour, so it was just like work and then tour. So I had the amount of time that I did in between that, and most of the time I was too mentally exhausted to write. And the times that I did, I remember there was a period where I was unemployed for a few months. I finally got an opportunity to work in a nice studio, and I didn't even really fully utilize it or appreciate it. I feel like I took it for granted at the time because I was so miserable about my situation, and I didn't really have many songs ready. Like, we had like little demos. And you know, I'm sure that there are some people that are gonna watch this and be like, what are you talking about? Like, I really like your music. But I think there's just like a certain set of standard, I guess, that I was really trying to achieve that I was not able to do. And again, there's many reasons why, and we're getting into that. And I hope that this video makes sense, because although I am gonna edit it, I don't know how I'm gonna organize it yet. So just bear with me. I think also making music just takes practice, and I wasn't practicing as much as I could have. And again, I go back to being in a different work situation back then. It's really, really easy to just wake up, go to work, go home, watch TV, fall asleep. You know, you have 2 days off, maybe one of them you spend resting, the other one you go out and you buy shit because you're like so stressed out. I loved going to the thrift store, and I mean, I still love going to the thrift store, but even stuff like that, I just dropped my ring. I try not to do as much, because for me, in this period of my life, it's so important to make sure that I am creating more than I consume. And I know that's like been a talking point for people on TikTok, and I mean, to be honest, that's where I got it from. But it's very, very true, because it's just not fulfilling going out and buying stuff all the time. It's just not. And I think that's what this country wants. They want us to buy shit. And you know, maybe I'm a hypocrite because I'm an artist and I sell merch and I sell that to you guys, and I don't really have a way to resolve that thought that I just had, but I thought it was worth mentioning. But yes, it as an artist, I think, especially right now and moving forward, it is so important to work on your relationship with consumption if you want to do this. That's my opinion, because everyone that I know that is successful and they're not working another job right now, pursuing music, is very, very frugal, and that's just how it is right now. I think a lot of people in our age and younger have a shopping addiction or something adjacent to it, especially if you grew up online. Things are getting sold to you every second of the day. It's so exhausting. But I think for a lot of people, you know, you see like the little starter kits, and it's like, you know, those can be cute, but it's like, well, okay, if I want to like be this thing, do I have to consume these products if I want to be an artist, if I want to be whatever, right? And I'd say the answer is no, it's about what you do. And I think I've talked about that before. I feel more like an artist when I am in my robe writing a song in my head than if I'm dressed up, which again, I love dressing up and I love expressing myself, but maybe I'm not as focused on music that day for whatever reason. Free time and making music are so interconnected, and having free time is a privilege. It really, really is. And I think for me, in order to get more free time, of course, I was able to get this better job, but I was like, I can't buy shit. I was not proud of my music under Jackie Hayes because I feel like it didn't come from the right place. I feel like it came from a place of like, why not me? Why not me? And like, I know. It can be really, really easy to think that, especially like when you're making music at first. It's like, well, why don't I get like the recognition or whatever? And it's like, it's so complicated. And again, like that's why everyone has different experiences, and I can really only speak for myself when I say all of this. But I think that I was so focused on the music industry and getting on like playlists and stuff, which that was, please, everyone, don't focus on that. Focus on making good art, because all that other stuff will come. If you make music that connects with people, like genuinely, those industry things will slowly but surely start to appear. But maybe, and this is something that I'm confronting right now, maybe you don't even want the industry things right now. The music industry, from what I understand, is in shambles. And that's why I'm doing my own stuff right now. And I'm happy about it. There are so many reasons, you know, why am I making my favorite stuff now? Well, again, I just practice. I put in a lot of time. Every single day. And again, I am privileged to be able to do that. I write every single day at this point. I write a song a day. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm bombarded with a thing, and I have to like hum it into my phone and then try to fall back asleep. But I'm sorry, I'm just jumping around a lot because I'm talking about how like I don't like things about Jackie Hayes, but I also think it's important to bring up positive stuff because I'm not in that place anymore, right? I'm not. But I want everyone to know, I guess, still why things unfolded the way that they did, because you all are curious from that Instagram poll. I learned too much about the music industry, and a lot of it was because people that I was around at that point talked about it, and I wish that I was able to shut it off and not allow myself to be so affected by it, because it was really hard for me to hear other people talk about artists like they were in the stock market or something. Like, you know, to this day, I try really hard not to focus on that stuff because it feels like it takes away from the actual art. But yeah, I think I know a lot of people who were going through that and who still are, where it can feel like you're a failure if you don't get your song on a playlist from like a DSP or something. And I'm here to tell you, like, that please, like, it really does not matter. I'm too worked up. I need to take a step back. But obviously, you could look at me and go, well, that's easy for you to say. You've been on playlists. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe you're right. At the end of the day, what really matters is making a connection with you guys, right? And that's kind of like what this whole Astrid Pierce thing has been, is like a return to form. Because, like, I think for me, the Astrid Pierce music, especially this new album that I'm gonna start rolling out like literally next week, is so similar to Family Reunion, which is the music I was making before anyone from the music industry came in and tried to get themselves involved with me. And it's funny how that works. And I feel like that was the music that resonated the most with people, is family reunion stuff. And it was just me and my friends at that point for the for the majority of it. It's interesting, you know, it's like I feel like when things are the most genuine, that's when other people like it. And I had a few songs do really well from Family Reunion, and I took them down because when I started to try to become successful in like the eyes of the music industry, there was always just this cloud of like not being good enough. And I really internalized that, and I self-sabotaged when it came to all about music. But that's why I ended up putting it back up. Even if it doesn't have the same amount of like listeners as it used to, I still want people to enjoy it. And again, I feel like my music that I'm doing now is more similar to that. I think Jackie Hayes was like me trying to be something that I wasn't because I wanted the validation of people in the music industry, and I wanted to be perceived as this like cool, cutting edge indie rock star. And you know, quite honestly, that can be really difficult to do in this day and age. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be broke. Like, and that's what the situation was. A lot of it was my fault because I think it's important for me to take responsibility for the things that I can, because that's how we improve, you know, for future. And I have improved. But yeah, I wanted people's validation so bad. I wanted men in the music industry to think that I was cool. Boo. Oh, I do not care about that now. I'll tell. I don't care about that now. But yeah, back then. And that's the thing, is like seeking validation from the wrong people, I should say, because I want to make music that my fans, like my listeners, enjoy, and that, again, I think that's what I want. That's what I want to focus in on now. But yeah, with Jackie Hayes, I'm like, I want like so and so, this curator, this tastemaker, to think that I'm cool. What do I do? And then it became that, you know, not the music. And again, I had more limited free time back then than I do now. So I was spending it making things that I thought the people I was working with would like. And I thought that I would like too, because again, I'm like looking at all this, I'm like, whoa, these people are so cool. And then it's like, meanwhile, you find out that they don't actually have to make music for money because they have like a trust fund, or they're getting their money from whatever else they're doing. So they're just doing it for self-expression. And it's like, for me, it's not just about the money for me, first of all, or else I would be a bartender right now. But I think it's important for me to make money from my music, at least enough to be able to support myself slightly. And again, like the music I was making before, I just like, I was getting more and more niche as each project went on. From like, I think Over and Over was like the most niche, and then the 2 EPs after that, where I was like, it was like this. I was like trying to bring it back, right? And then Last Ditch Effort, it feels very pop. And then Perfect Storm, which is my next album, is like even more pop. I don't know. I think that getting involved in the music industry before you know who you are or what you want to do is so dumb, because, and again, I say that about myself with love, okay? But you will get torn to shreds. You will get chewed up, spit out, stomped on, spit on, pissed on, kicked, whatever, you know? And that, I just dropped my ring. That's kind of what happened to me. I got so many backhanded compliments from people throughout the years, or just getting ignored, rejected, etc. And I really allowed that to get to me. I'm picking up my ring. I allowed that to get to me instead of going, hey, is this what we need to be focusing our energy on? No, it's not. That's the awesome thing about all of this, is I can reflect on the past and the mistakes that I made as an artist and know now that that's not my reality, and that is very comforting to me, and I'm very thankful. Like, shout out to myself for figuring it out, like, regardless. But it took a lot of humbling, right? I went through a series of humbling events that led me to deciding to change my name ultimately, right? So we were talking about how I didn't like the Jackie Hayes stuff and how I thought, maybe I'm just being hard on myself. Maybe it's just an imposter syndrome. Or maybe I really shouldn't do this anymore and I should try something else because I can do that, I have free will. And multiple people, that I talked about it with were like, no, why would you do that? You already started over from family reunion. I'm like, I know, but I was so young when I did that. Like, can we just try one more time? Third time's the charm, right? Something just, it felt off. It felt off with the Jackie stuff. And again, I think that it's because I was focusing on the wrong things. And like I said before, if you enter the music industry and you don't have like a surefire idea, like an airtight situation, like this is what I want, I'm willing to be patient for it. I feel very solidified with my sound and I have a whole system, already in place. Oh heavens, I feel bad, for anyone who has also gone through that, I got dropped by my label at one point. I got dropped by my manager. I got dropped by my booking agents. I got dropped by just about anyone that you could think could drop you. It was just like boom, 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 just getting slapped in the face over and over again. I moved here in 2022. Yes, 2022. I got dropped by my manager a month later. Over and Over came out. I went on tour and then I found out that I can't really speak on this next part fully because I'm afraid that it's not over. Allegedly, I need to figure out how to phrase this next part because I am so scared of getting in trouble. But I found out that allegedly there is a chance that I owed a large sum of money to an alleged company, even though we have tried to go back, and I have a lawyer, okay? We tried to go back and find evidence that everything had been laid out. No evidence to this day, and it's been a few years. I found out that I allegedly owed a big sum of money, and that just sent me over the edge. There were multiple, right? But that was really the one where I was like, what the hell? So I had some more tour dates, and then I just remember being like, talking to someone who I'm really close to, and just being like, this is not, and they're like, well, you don't have to tour, right? Like, you don't have to tour if you don't want to. And I'm like, wait, I don't? I've been working with someone who told me that I had to tour for the last few years. You're saying I don't have to do it? And I don't know why it took me that long to realize, like, yeah, I actually, and you know what? I shouldn't have been. I'm sorry. I know. I'm so thankful that I was able to meet the people that I did when I was on the road and be able to connect with people who listen to my music. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to tour because I was not confident with myself or my music. And it's not something that I should have been doing also because I was not financially equipped. And so I guess for those who don't know, I toured before I moved here, and I currently live in Southern California, LA County. I toured pretty extensively, and it was mostly as an opening artist. I'm sure a lot of you know that, and maybe you've seen me at some point. I was opening for people. I made anywhere from $250 to $500 a night, and that's before the agents take out their 10% fee. I cared about paying my band, and here's the thing. You can't really pay people that well when you make that little each night. And I was selling some merch, but I sold for most of the tours except for the last one that I did with Vacations, which that was the best tour. That was the best tour ever. I sold maybe like 5 shirts a night, and that's like $100 extra. You have to pay tax on that later on as well. I couldn't pay my band very well, but I still paid them what I could. And there was a lot of discussion surrounding that where I had people telling me like, well, some people don't pay their band. Some people your size don't pay their bands at all. And I remember thinking like, I cannot do that. I cannot bring myself to do that. And I don't know anyone who is willing to go on tour with me for free. And even if someone was willing to go on tour with me and be out there with me for like 2 weeks plus, 2+ weeks, I would not let them do that for me for free. I would not let them, okay? That's a really, really long time to be gone without like being gone from work. And a lot of people, they have rent, not living with their families. So yeah, you have to pay people at least something. At least that's what I think. That's what I think. And because of that, I was not making a profit from tour. I never made a profit from tour, except for my last tour that I did with Vacations, which that was awesome. I sold a lot of merch. On that tour. So that was awesome. I definitely want to go back to Texas because that was great. Yes, I know that for some people, touring is really important. It's a really like integral part of what it is that they do, and everyone has a different situation. I imagine that for bands, it's easier to tour sometimes because everyone's kind of going in together. But again, like if you're a solo artist, you need to bring people with you, or else you're just going to be driving by yourself. Unless you're in a situation where you can like ride with whatever band you're opening for, which I understand that is how a lot of people are able to do stuff. That makes total sense. That sounds like a good situation. But yeah, unless you have that, or you're just driving around by yourself, you have to bring people with you, and like you have to pay people. Touring the way that I did under Jackie Hayes was so stressful for me, and I understand yeah, in some ways, I should be thankful that I was able to have those opportunities, but I just wasn't ready. I needed to be in the studio. I needed to be working on my album. Some people can multitask, and some people can do both, and that's awesome, but that's not my situation. I needed to sit the fuck down and start, learning how to make things that I like. Now that I don't tour, at least for right now, I would love to go back on tour now because I have 2 albums that I am really, really proud of, and I want more people to learn about them and listen. So I'm gonna put that out there. I'm just saying that for the last 3 years, I'm really glad that I didn't tour because I shouldn't have. I don't regret that. I'm sad because I miss meeting people and being able to connect with listeners in real life and share music together. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a productive or healthy thing for me to continue to do, which is why, again, I didn't do it. It made it very difficult for me to keep a job. The last 8 months or so of me living in Chicago, I worked at this restaurant gig that let me take off, but I would work 40 to 50 hours a week and then tour and then come back and just work. And I didn't really take that much time off in between those 2 things. But yeah, when I moved here, I was still finishing up the tours that had been booked. And, I worked at one place for 2 weeks. I worked at another place for a month. No one wants to deal with that. And obviously it sucks because it's you're not giving me healthcare or a living wage, let me leave. And the place that I work at now, even, I don't think that if I was gone for 2 months, they would be very happy about that. That has been very helpful when it comes to finishing my stuff and doing one-off shows. And that one time that I was, the one time that I was gone, one time that I was abroad. But even with that trip that I was just on recently, if we want to compare it to things, it was cheaper for me to go on that trip and stay in that hostel than it would have been for me to tour. Because again, I prioritize paying the people that I am with. And again, that sounds like common sense. I'm sure people are listening to me say that and they're well, yeah. But you would be surprised. You would be surprised, everyone. But I suppose I'm not at liberty to talk about that or what other people do. But yeah, it's okay, I can't really afford to do this, so I'm not going to until I can. And again, I don't know, like part of me feels bad because it's like I have like that internalized shame that I've internalized throughout the years to be like, well, you know, you should just be grateful. You should just be grateful, blah, 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 whatever. But it's like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like multiple things can exist at the same time, and it's all right to not do things sometimes. And I think I was operating from such a scarcity mindset, like not only just scarcity when it came to money, but like a scarcity of opportunity where it's like, if I don't take this, I'm not gonna get another opportunity. And it's like, well, should I again, like we know now, we know what happened now. I have these albums that I love so much. I would love to play these new songs live though. It's funny too because, you know, back then I would play my music live and it would be sometimes hard for me to get into it, or I'd feel very insecure because I'm like, I am not vibing with this as much as I should be for it being like my music, but like people keep telling me that I need to go out on the road. So again, you know, I tour, I go home, I grind, #grind at the restaurant or wherever place I was working, and then I go back out, and then it's just kind of like this thing, you know, just put me in a very compromising situation. I lost like $10,000 that one year that I really went. And it's interesting because that's when I owned my back catalog, and that was the last year that I received money from my back catalog, up until like right now, which we're gonna talk about that. So I know on my Instagram story, I said that I hadn't owned my music in 5 years, or like this was the first time I was gonna be collecting royalties in 5 years. So from 2022 to now, I sold my back catalog to a record label. And before that, I was in another situation where I owed someone money and I was paying them back. And then also I used the earnings from my royalties to pay for tour. But again, it was kind of the situation where like I wasn't able to really take money from those royalties to pay myself. New music that I had released from 2021 onward was on a record label. So I owned like 10 songs, I think, from my back catalog. Honestly, it might have been less. Somewhere between like 7 and 10 songs.
Hello, it's editing me. For those who don't know, she looks so mad. Okay, for those who don't know what a back catalog is, it's basically just like the music that you own. So for me, it was like 19, Flower, I'm trying to remember what else. Talk, all of those songs, that was like a part of my back catalog because I just released those without a label.
Obviously at one point I got dropped, and then I re-signed, and again, I sold my back catalog, which, you know what, it's funny because in theory, it is a really big mistake, but I'm actually glad that I did it because it was one of the main driving factors for me to get my shit together. I sold my back catalog at that time because I was operating from a scarcity mindset and I felt so desperate because I was losing all this money from tour. And I just remember thinking like, well, I'm never gonna make any money for myself if I keep doing this. Because again, for some reason, I just felt like I had to keep going. It's partially because I was working with people at the time who perpetuated that, like, yeah, you need to be touring, you know? And I'm sure that those people, I don't know what those people think, but I'm going to assume that those people probably know now that it's not that simple. And again, like, you have to have a body of work that you are really, really proud of in order to spend that much money. Because again, if you're opening, a lot of it is just for exposure. Understand that, let's say we're doing like a one-off night and the budget is like $250 for someone and it's just one night and they don't have to travel, it's like in their local area, okay, that makes sense, you know what I mean? But doing that long term without like a good chunk of change or like savings put aside, that's where things start to get tough. I know that a lot of people have also not sworn off touring, because I wouldn't say that I've sworn off touring by any means, because again, I feel like I'm down to go at this point. Because I miss you guys, like, obviously. And I miss performing, I miss singing, but I know I'm repeating myself a lot. I do not regret taking that break. It's the only way that I was able to slow down and start working on stuff and to be able to meet this new person that I work with. So on all my new music. Stuff with the back catalog, it was foolish. I would never recommend selling your back catalog to anyone. I sold it for a price that some would call abysmal. To put it in a vacuum, that was a really big mistake. It's weird. It's like I can look at that and go, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. But I'm still glad that it happened because I learned from it, and now I have everything that I do now. Like, I own Last Ditch Effort, and I'm gonna own this next album, and then maybe I'll sign, maybe I'll sign then, and that'll be awesome. And I'll know what to do. I'll know how to handle it. You sign a record deal, you're essentially taking out a loan, right? And that's something that we need to drive into everyone's heads even more. And I think I was pretty stubborn because I felt like it was something that I had to do. There are a lot of myths with the music industry that more and more as time goes on, like we're starting to unravel, right? Because those things are not so true anymore. You don't have to sign if you don't want to. It'd be hard to come up with the money to mix things yourself, to pay producer fees if you don't have connections with people who are willing to just like work with you until we all make a profit. When people come from like more lower income situations and they don't have like a cool 20K just sitting for them to use, that's when they'll feel more tempted to sign a record deal, because it's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to be able to come up with this money, so I need to go to so-and-so and they can give it to me. But if you sign a record deal and you don't know what you're doing yet, it's not going to give the results that you think it will. I always had this issue where if I wasn't making money right away, it was hard for me to be incentivized. And there's many schools of thought, right? Because I think in an entrepreneurial sense, you cannot expect to get paid right away. But I felt like I was never going to make money with the Jackie Hayes stuff. I was like, I don't think, I was like, this is not, there's just something not right about this. And I'm not even blaming it on the record label when I'm talking about like this. It genuinely like was my mindset when it came to how I felt about my old music. Like, I didn't even see the value in my old music to a degree. And I know that's sad, but it's true. That's what happens when you are moving around in an environment where nothing you do is ever good enough until it is, and it only is if you are viral, you know what I mean, or adjacent to that. But I don't feel that way anymore. I love my music. And that's the thing, is like, I want to believe that if your music is good, and it's like, well, what does good mean, right? What does good mean? Who am I to judge? But if it's true and it can connect with people, they are going to find it eventually. Okay, it might take a long time, but they're going to find it eventually. And yeah, I don't know. You can't guarantee success or virality or any of those things. But as long as you're connecting with people, that in itself is successful. But yes, I think for most people, it would be difficult to have been a small artist and not making that much, and spending, again, like the money that I had from that back catalog of songs that I still owned as I was releasing through labels and stuff was all going into tour. I would take money if we did a college show, which anyone knows, like those are the one show, like the kind of show that actually pays well. I would take that, but I did maybe like 2 of those a year, and I still didn't get paid as much as I know some people do. So I sold my back catalog because I felt powerless, and I just kind of gave up. I was like, well, I'm never gonna make money from any of this anyway, so whatever. And then obviously I kept that money and I held on to it, actually, because I was so afraid, because I was under the impression that I was gonna keep touring. But I sold my back catalog and I got dropped by someone that I had been working with since the conception of like Jackie Hayes. And that was an earth-shattering experience for me. Looking back now, I'm glad that it happened because I am doing the things that I'm doing now, but at the time it was like someone who had believed in me for like such a long time, they don't believe in me anymore. And so there must be something fundamentally broken about this project, right? There must be something wrong, you know? It's me from the future editing me. Something I want to clarify, because I'm not sure if it makes sense as it stands in this video, is that the person who dropped me was actually the person who encouraged me to tour. So I had really bad tunnel vision when it came to my finances and my back catalog, since I had been using it for such a long time to put it back into touring. So I think I was making somewhere like $600 to $800 a month. And again, I personally wasn't seeing that money. It was hard for me to conceptualize that that money was out there. And had I just decided to step away from touring and not sold my back catalog, I would not, like, I never needed to do that, if that makes sense, because I would have just been making passive income. But because I was in the situation that I was in, and feeling like I needed to tour, I was like, well, I'm never gonna see that money anyway because I'm always gonna have to tour. So I might as well take something for myself and pay myself. And, you know, thinking about that now, talking about that now, it was so close-minded of me, because what I should have done is just take a break. However, I will say, I was told that I shouldn't take a break, because I was going to release an album. So then it's like, well, but yeah, I don't know, what are you gonna do? For a while, that was a pretty big point of contention for myself thinking about this, because it's like, damn, like, had I known that that person was going to drop me, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. I just would have like finished out my tour that I had, like how I essentially did, stepped away and then just earned my royalties. And it sucks because I never got the opportunity to. I made such a closed-minded decision because I don't know, I just felt very powerless. And that's what I mean, is like, it's so important to know your business and to understand what's going on. And I know that when you're an artist and things get stressful, it can feel like you're not in control, but you should be. And you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. You don't have to put yourself in any financially compromising situations. But yeah, like, that was definitely a really tough pill to swallow for me. I was like, damn. And making this video too, I'm like, I wonder if people are gonna watch this and think that I was stupid for doing that. But I guess it's just important for me to explain just how lost I was and how far from the plot I was, where I'm just like, but it's okay, because I own, I'm gonna own 22 songs pretty soon. So I sold my back catalog. I wasn't working with that person anymore. I had just entered a new deal, and then afterwards I find out allegedly that I may or may not have unfinished business with the company. And then I stopped touring like 2 months after that. And so I spent like 2 years in between that and whatever I'm doing now, I guess, like just wondering like, what the fuck? Like, I felt very, very lost, and I was very depressed. Even though all of that had happened in such quick succession, it still took me a long time after that to decide to not do Jackie Hayes anymore. And some more stuff happened in between too. There was at one point, which I don't even want to get into this situation fully because I don't know how to, like, I guess, speak about it, or if I want to, but there was a moment where I had gotten myself into a situation where I was like, how does this keep happening? How does this keep happening? So again, trigger warning. I was suicidal in a way that I had never been previously. And the only thing that was stopping me from checking myself into a psych ward was the bill. Like I also, like, randomly during that time too, I had the worst hormonal acne of my life. It ate up the entire side of my face from like here all the way down to like my chin. It was basically like this whole area. And I had never had that kind of acne before. Like, I've had pretty intense acne because I have PCOS, but I don't know, something happened where it's just my whole body, you know, was losing it. And I was like throwing myself to the floor, screaming and crying because I hated everything about my life. And I was like going on Instagram and seeing people that I had worked with previously, like going on tour and signing, you know, record deals where they were actually getting money from it and just being successful and achieving career milestones. Meanwhile, I'm rotting. I'm rotting at home, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It was a really, really dark time in my life. Like, I cried like every single day for a fucking year. I was working at this place that violated OSHA regulations like every single day. And I would get home from work and just cry even more. I'm so glad that I was able to bring myself out of that. I'm so glad. But again, like, I don't know if I would have been able to if I kept doing the Jackie Hayes stuff. Like, I just don't. I don't. Because it felt like it was a cursed situation, right? It felt like I had put so much bad energy into it that it was going to keep punishing me over and over again until I had no choice but to quit. And that's what happened. I'm so glad that I never gave up though. I was very, very close to giving up, and sometimes up until very recently I still questioned it. But I think right now I'm so confident with my new music that I know I'll be able to do something with it. At least I hope. But I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I need to try my best to include everything in this video about like all of that. And it's hard because I lived through it and I'm trying to remember it and I'm like reliving it. But I also like want you to know because I was asked to talk about it. And I think that maybe this can be something that people can learn from, you know, how important it is to have a solidified sense of self with not only like your self-worth and your self-esteem, but a pretty airtight artistic vision before you start to get involved with other people in the industry. Of course, it's always good to be with your friends and to do things with your friends. And most of the time, your friends aren't going to judge you. They're not going to judge you as hard. I mean, let's try to list off some more reasons. Let's try to list off some more reasons why the whole Jackie thing didn't work. I think that my expectations scaled to the amount of work that I used to put in. It was not. So, and again, we talked about the free time. We talked about how difficult it can be being working class and pursuing something creative outside of your, I mean, I've never worked a 9 to 5, you know, I never worked a 9 to 5, but like outside of your job, I was expecting results from someone who had the time to put in like hours and hours and hours each week of music, hours of recording. I was expecting to have these results, and that's not something I was able to do back then. And so there was like this mismatch, right? And then also it was really confusing because I knew multiple people back then who at like 17, 18, 19 years old were making what I made in an entire year in my music, like in a month, or when I made an entire year at my job, some of my jobs in a month or two. And that was also a thing, right? But here's the thing, you can never compare yourself to artists. I know it's so much easier said than done, and it's still something that I do now. I mean, like, I literally wrote a song about comparing myself to influencers, and that's coming out. I'm not sure when I'm gonna release this video, but that song is coming out on October 22nd. So who am I? Who am I to judge, you know? I don't judge people for comparing themselves to others. I don't know. It's hard not to. It's hard not to. I mean, social media just shoves that shit in your face. I literally have like keywords and certain things muted, and I still see things that I don't want to. I would say that I was kind of entitled when it came to certain aspects of my career too, where it's like I was doing things and I was expecting success, right? And it's like, you don't get a cookie just because you make a song and you release it and some people like it. That's not how that works. This is a tough love moment for sure, to all my fellow artists. And I don't even know if people are gonna agree with me on this fully. None of us get a cookie just because we make music, right? And it's like, well, okay. Elaborate. Just because you make a song does not mean that you're gonna get shit handed to you. And I feel like that's how I was to a degree. And again, I was pretty young when I started, and the majority of people that I knew kind of had like the same mindset as I did. And I think I also just had those unrealistic expectations, which it was like kerosene to a flame when I was around people who literally released a song. I know someone who they released their first song and it probably has now like 40 million plus streams on it. I know multiple people with songs that have 40 million plus streams, and they owned it too, and it was one of their first songs. So again, I saw all that happening around me, and I'm like, well, what's wrong? Like, why isn't that happening to me? And it's like, I don't know. This stuff is so random. You can't question. It's gonna drive you crazy, and it definitely drove me crazy. So then I was just operating under this why me kind of thing, or why not me, I suppose. And then once I started working with people that were in the music industry, there was this other level of like, what you're doing is not good enough. And again, it was never something that was explicitly said to me, but it was always implied. Like I felt a general sense of disdain being radiated towards me. And being as young as I was too, it was upsetting. It was upsetting. But yes, it's just, please, everyone, it's so random. And I think that's where it gets, for someone like me, where like I question things, I question the logic of things, and I'm like, well, why? I've been doing this for such a long time. But it's like, you can't predict when something is going to start doing well. All you can do is control the work that you put in. And again, I'll be honest and say, I don't think I was working as hard as I could have back then. And maybe this is just an internalized capitalism cope. It could be, and it could sound like that. And as the words are coming into my mouth, maybe it sounds like that. But I also know that when it comes to my artistic practice, I think I was focusing on the wrong things. I was focusing on literally everything but the music. There's a screaming child. I was focusing on everything except for the music. And that's not gonna do anything. It's like a cycle, a never-ending cycle. It's like, okay, I'm never gonna be good enough. Why am I gonna try? Well, I'm gonna release this song. It's gonna come out. It's not gonna do well. I'm not gonna really do anything to promote it. And then it's like the cycle continues, right? What else? What are some other reasons why the Jackie Hayes stuff wasn't working? I mean, I was pretty insecure. I was insecure when it came to my music, but I was also insecure when it came to my looks. I'm not even said pretty insecure. I was very insecure. I was heavily insecure. So I guess with my OCD, body and facial dysmorphia is a pretty big thing, or it was a pretty big thing. I'd say right now I'm all right, but for a while there, I was not doing too good. And it was hard for me to take pictures and get pictures taken of myself. And so also, again, I guess going back to tours, I would see photos of myself tagged like getting tagged on Instagram, and I would cry because I was so insecure and I hated the way that I looked. And again, like, it's so complicated. Honestly, I don't know if I'm even fully equipped to speak on this subject in this video because I want to be more prepared and not even like researched, because I'm talking about my own shit, but there's just a certain way that I think we have to handle conversations around something as vulnerable and personal as our appearance and like our relationship to that, right? But yes, I didn't like Jackie Hayes. I didn't like myself. I didn't like the music. I didn't like my appearance. It was hard for me to take those photos, to do music videos, to do just about anything. It's like I didn't like being an artist almost. Interesting, because even as I'm talking about this, it's like I feel like I really had to make my own meaning out of a lot of the stuff that happened. But in doing so, I was able to give myself another chance, and that's what I feel like I'm doing now. Since I failed so many times and I learned from all those mistakes, at least I like to think that I did, I can make decisions, very clear-headed decisions, and not screw myself over, because I was self-sabotaging so much. Like, yes, there were things that were happening in the music industry that made it a lot harder, and like we all know that streaming does not pay artists shit, which record deals, they're not going to give you a lot of money if you don't go viral. It's not like they're giving you money, you know what I mean? It's like a loan, and you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. So signing a record deal when you don't know what to do is like so, just no, don't do that. Don't do that. I guess I can say these things, but it can be really, really easy to walk into situations like that. Other people also are telling you like this is how things are. But even with me, there were times where I had been warned against things and I still felt like I had to do it, which again, that comes with like the self-responsibility, you know? I throughout the years have formed a lot of relationships with people that are active in the music industry, and it's like I'll work with them, so I'm in the music industry too, I guess, you know? I'm just in my own little corner, and I like it here a lot better than where I was before. I'm trying to think what else with the Jackie, with the Jackie stuff. I mean, I got dropped by my booking agency. That was like a blessing in disguise because I should not have been touring back then, and so it's good that I wasn't touring, because I want to talk about the Astrid stuff and Last Ditch Effort and all of that for the rest of this video. I definitely am not done talking about the Jackie Hayes stuff, and I'll probably be able to speak about it more eloquently at some point too. Last Ditch Effort was this idea that I had of like, this is the last album that I'm going to do before I give up essentially and go to college. And it's funny because I tried to get my transcripts and they never came. All right, maybe it's a sign. I took it as one. You can take anything as a sign if you think hard enough, though. That's what I've learned. Last Ditch Effort was an album that was supposed to be an ending, but it ended up being a beginning. Because by the time I finished Last Ditch Effort, which I finished it like a month before it came out. So I finished it in like July. I had already in tandem started writing my second album, Perfect Storm. And so I was like, I literally cannot stop because I have all of these new songs and they need to come out like after Last Ditch Effort, you know? I am so lucky that I have the support system that I do, because there's no way that I would have been able to start over. I really went scorched earth. I fucked up so bad. And again, it was kind of like, oh, well, things are already so fucked up, so who cares? I'm just going to keep doing things that make it worse. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy at times. Last Ditch Effort was me snapping and being like, I have to change. I have to change. At the time, I didn't think that I was going to change my name. It was just like, I have to stop what I am doing. I need to save myself. I need to step it up, because I was letting other people do things for me, and then I wouldn't like I wouldn't like it. And when I say do things, I'm talking about managers and labels and stuff. Like, okay, well, if you don't like it, then you should just do it yourself. I had a conversation with someone who's a lot older than me that was like, well, I do all my stuff by myself. Like, why can't you? And again, it's like, well, why can't I? Because that's what they want you to think, that you can't do this on your own. And you know, to be fair, I didn't do any of this on my own. I have a big support system of people who helped me throughout this. And so when I say that, I guess I mean do it in like a traditional sense where you have to sign something to raise money for Last Ditch Effort. I worked 2 jobs back to back, and I was so tired, but like it was definitely, it was worth, like, looking back, I'm so glad that I did that. I wore myself down pretty bad, but I was so determined to regain my independence. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I am going to wake up and drag myself out of bed. I took out credit cards and I did use them irresponsibly. I'm not gonna lie. I borrowed money from people. I took money. Well, not took, but like I accepted money from people. And that's how I was able to release this album. And people did favors for me because they knew what my situation was and they were willing to help. And that's another really big thing, and where I feel very like grateful and privileged again, that there are people in my life that work in the music industry that were willing to cut me a deal, do me a favor. Some people were willing to do things for free to help me for this first album. I hope that people know I'm never going to take that for granted, because I wouldn't have been able to do. And again, it really does take a village to release an album. It was a group effort. It was a group effort for Last Ditch Effort. I met someone, I don't even know, 1.5 years ago, who I started working with. And it's funny because it was during the Jackie stuff, and we had gotten set up by someone, and I showed up to his house. At the time, I kept doing these sessions with like older men, and you know, God bless, but it wasn't really my vibe. I go to this person's house and he opens the door and it's someone my age. And I was like, thank fucking God. Like, who are you? Let's go. I was very, very cautious to start working with new people and to develop like a relationship in that way, because I was scared. But I had a feeling with this person. His name is Jack. I didn't know what I was walking into exactly on that day, but I was like, this is a friend. I ended up working on a song that day, and it was one of the last Jackie Hayes songs, Too Late, featuring Boyish. I remember we were like, okay, this is like the last Jackie Hayes song. Like, what are we gonna do now? He's definitely the main person that I work with when it comes to all of my new stuff. I don't know what it is exactly that Jack saw in me, but I know that he wanted to keep going, and so did I, and so we kept going. And now, yes, now here we are, all this time later. I do not know if he's going to see this, but I owe a lot to him for being willing to do all of this new stuff with me, because it feels like we're in a little group project situation. I am very, very lucky to have the relationships that I do with people, because that's how I've been able to be independent. Because I have a whole system. I have a whole system now. We're all here. We're all in on it. It's awesome. You know, it's awesome. And it's funny because I remember at one point I was working with Jack, because I go over like all the time now, at least once a week for the last how many long. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a few more months, and maybe I'm gonna stop for a little bit. And he turned around and he was like, stop, you can't stop. Like, what do you mean? Honestly, that's like all it took for me to be like, wait, like, okay. He encourages my delusion and in a positive way. And then working with Billy as well, it's like, I am very aware how lucky I am to be in the situation that I'm in right now with the people that I work with. And that's another main reason why I will not stop, because I thought about it. It's like, you know, people would kill to be in the situation that you're in, so you need to act like it. And that's how I feel about myself. Like, even though at this moment I'm not making money from the Astrid Pierce stuff. If a song goes, it's mine. Like, it's mine. You know what I mean? And even saying that, it's like, it hasn't fully hit me yet. I was able to undo. I was able to undo the mistakes. Because, again, like I said, I didn't own my back catalog for a second, but even when I did, it was going all right back into the business.
Okay, this is my last editor's note. I'm definitely going to invest a big portion of what I earn back into my business, especially right now. But once I start making more, I'm gonna take a little bit for myself. Cause it is my right.
Like, imagine being able to pay your bills with music. That could be a possibility. We will see. We will see.
And then I was releasing any new music through a label starting from 2021. So it just felt very out of control. Very out of control. And now I'm in control. And hopefully I am a little bit of a control freak. But I also think that it's important as artists to try to be as self-sufficient and know the business as much as you can. Because no one is going to figure that out for you. And you might think that they're going to, and then it turns into a situation. You don't want that. You don't want that. We need to all try our best as artists to educate ourselves on the mess that is whatever being an artist is and like operating in this industry is in this modern time. Because, yeah, I don't know. I feel Last Ditch Effort is my favorite album that I've ever released. And although I do have an album that I like even more that's coming out, but for now, and I'm so proud. And again, one of the reasons why I was able to make this album is because I didn't do anything else except for music and then work, really. Like, I wasn't touring, so I was locked in. Okay, I knew. I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance to set things right for myself. And even if none of the music on that really goes anywhere, at least I can look at it and be like, I did that. And then when it comes to the next stuff too, it's like, I did that, part 2. Who knows? You know, I'm already writing more stuff for beyond that, but we do need to get these songs. We need to get these songs done before I start to do anything else. I love to start writing things right when I finish something else. It's probably a form of procrastination. I want to talk more about how it was made. When I wasn't working, I was working on Last Ditch Effort. That was my thing. I was like, this, maybe almost in a bad way, but honestly, it gave my life a purpose. Like, all of this new stuff really does give my life a purpose, and for that I'm very thankful, because I felt very purposeless with Jackie Hayes. I was just aimlessly wandering around trying to figure it out. But with this, I'm like, no, I know exactly what it is that I want to do. And until I find a situation that is suited to me and like my working style, I'm going to do it like myself with my friends. In a lot of ways, it's just really allowed me to create without any limits, without any judgment. And in doing so, the music has just gotten so much better. I can listen to this album without it feeling like nails on a chalkboard. And you know, recently I did listen to Jackie Hayes. Like, there's always going to be something, and over for the first time in like 2 years, last week. And I was able to make peace with it. I'm someone who needs to be incentivized. And in order to incentivize myself and to make myself get up, I can't be in a situation where I'm not earning like royalties for my music. And I very quickly learned that after I did what I did. And so now it's like a little game where I can promote my stuff on TikTok and be like, how can I get this number to go more? And it's not in like a judging way or anything like that, but just like, it's fun. It's like, oh, haha. Like, even though I'm not making, I haven't gotten my first royalty check. I just got all my splits approved like a week ago. Sometimes I think I have a gerbil brain, but yeah, don't ever give up, because you don't know. You might get pushed to a breaking point, but then you rise like a phoenix from the ashes, 10 times stronger than you did before. And that's what I think happened. And it's exciting because everything is still so new, because I've only been under this new name for like 6 months, I think. And so much has happened in that 6 months. Maybe not externally, but internally. Like just with the music that I'm making, to where now I feel confident enough to where if I just keep going and I release a song a month, which is what I plan on doing. And again, it's funny because that's what I did when I was family reunion. Something is going to work eventually. Again, I can't control when that eventually is going to be, but I feel confident enough in the quality of my work now. Because I am very hard on myself, but I try to do it in a more constructive way than just being like, you suck, you're a loser, blah, 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 whatever. It's so important to work on just in general, like not even just outside of music. It's so important to work on your self-esteem because it can infiltrate every decision that you make. We all deserve to believe that we are capable of doing things ourselves, doing whatever it is that we set our mind to. And even if you shoot for the moon, you land amongst the stars, you know. And I think, you know, this album kind of encapsulates reaching that rock bottom and then getting up and falling back in love with making music. Because that was another thing, is like, I didn't really enjoy recording for a long time. And a lot of it was just because my nervous system was so dysregulated from whatever fucked up stuff was going on. Like, not even just like with the music industry, I'm not talking about that. It's like more so my upbringing and my childhood and unresolved trauma that I had. And like, I could barely sit down for longer than 10 minutes at a time. I was very restless. I had a very like addictive personality, and to a degree I still do, but I've been able to manage it a lot more, and I can at least transmute my insanity into something more productive than what it is that my old antics. Because now I focus on running my business, which is the music stuff, you know, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being my own manager, because right now I'm my own manager. I enjoy doing all the emails, shipping out stuff. I just did my first like merch order with the old Jackie Hayes stuff, which is so funny, because I was so afraid to post that. Of like, my booking agency dropped me 2 weeks after I spent $1,300 on t-shirts and tote bags, and I was so embarrassed. I let it sit in my closet for 1.5 years. Until one of my friends recently suggested, why don't you do a pay what you can program and just see what you can, see what you can get out there to people. And all the shirts sold out. So thank you guys. And it was really emotional too, like, because I wrote everyone a letter. And I think at this point, everyone should have gotten theirs by now. If you don't get it, please let me know. Please let me know so I can refund you. I'm paranoid about that. It was so encouraging seeing all of the little like notes and stuff people were leaving me through Bandcamp as well. Because this is the first time that I sold my merch through an online store since like 2021, maybe even earlier. It might have been even earlier. And like now it's like this just all goes to me. Because before, it would go to recouping my advance, which again is like, I just don't think that I was ready to do anything like that. I just was not ready. I'm sorry. But, sometimes you do things and you don't realize that you weren't ready until you go through it. And I think that's my situation. It's funny because you would think like for so many artists, like their goal is to sign a deal. And all I have to say is like, if you don't have your shit together before you sign, you certainly are not going to have it together during that process. It's going to put a big flashlight on any issues that you have. And that's what it did for me. To a point where I was like, this is not gonna work. Like this whole Jackie Hayes thing, which I don't know. Yeah. And it didn't, obviously, but it's because I decided to do something better suited for me. Obviously I dyed my hair too, which is like a big thing. Cause like I bleached my hair to all hell. It was holding on by a string, by a thread, whatever my hair was holding on for dear life. It was fried, okay? And so I knew I wanted to get like a new haircut and dye my hair with this new project. And so I decided to dye it this color, which I have never done, and I love it so much. I'm so glad that I did that because it feels more flattering. It's funny too, because I saw people say that like blonde is like a Republican color, and I'm like, okay, yes, I don't want to be blonde. let's be rid of that. We're literally just getting We're just getting started. Thank you so much to everyone who stuck around, because like I really do it for you guys. When I'm making music, I'm so excited for you all to hear this stuff and to be able to like share that excitement. I genuinely think that I have like the best listeners in the world. And again, like going through my list of people feeling like Santa Claus and sending out all the packages and stuff, like going through that list was a really eye-opening experience, because there were many names that I had seen, you know, throughout the years, and I was like, whoa, like I have some actual ride or die fans. And I think for someone my size too, I've kind of like identified that like the people who listen to my music, maybe I don't have as many listeners as like a major label artist or anything like that, but the people who listen really enjoy it, and they're really like involved, and like I love that, because I don't know, it makes me feel like, okay, like this is good, you know what I mean? It really makes me feel like we're in this together. My whole thing for this new project has been an emphasis on the relationship with my listeners, which again, I think that's what this should always be about, no matter what. It shouldn't be like about the industry or what tour you can get on, whatever notoriety or review or whatever. It's about reaching people and connecting with them and helping people. And it is my intention to keep doing that. I think that this time is going to be different because I'm the one who's making it different, you know? Thank you everyone for being here, and I'm excited, and I hope I can play some more shows. I am gonna play a show in Chicago for sure, but I just need to get, you know, I need to figure out some other days too. Thank you to everyone for watching this video. If you made it through the whole thing, please leave a comment. I wanna know. And hopefully I did a good enough job of explaining all of this, but I'm definitely open to talking about it more, because it's the story, like it's literally the story, and I'm sure hopefully I can be known as someone who made all of these mistakes but was still able to do something from it, you know? I feel so proud, and I've said that like 100 times, but I mean it each time. Thank you for listening to my music and being here for all of this. Like, again, I can't say it enough, but I hope everyone has a good night. As you can see, it's getting dark outside, and the TikTok light is frying my retinas. I'm gonna go lay down for a little bit, but until next time. And new song coming out soon. New song, Jealous, October 22nd.